sharing Buddhist philosophy from a practical aspect. Before we get started, let me also quickly introduce myself, the organization, and give an overview of what we are trying to do here today. I am Amali Alavatta, the president of Makana 2021. Our organization, Makana, Mahatma Samitha, is a non-profit organization committed to creating a future where inspired, well-rounded, and successful alumni and students working together to benefit the society. The topic today is mindfulness and its impact on excelling your day-to-day life. And this session is in alignment to the organization's vision of students working together to benefiting and giving back to the society. The session is going to be twofold, a 45-minute lecture and a 15-minute Q&A. So I kindly request you all to mute your microphones during the presentation and bring your questions up during Q&A. You can also type your questions in the chat box, which we will direct to Samitha Thero. Once again, thank you for joining us. I would like to invite Venerable Nedagamuwe Samitha Thero to start his talk. Thank you. Hamdurane?
Okay. You can hear me, right?
Yes, Hamdurane.
Okay, then let us start. So, good evening, everyone. So, I'm Venerable Nedagamuwe Samitha. Thank you very much, Amali Mahatma, for introducing me and inviting me on behalf of Makana, Mahamaya Girls College Alumni Association in North America. So, I am very honored and I'm very happy to be here today to share some knowledge with you. So we are going to talk about mindfulness, such a timely topic, I think, especially during a time like this. So again, thank you very much. So I think I am one of your guest speakers because of my connection to the community in Connecticut. So your president, Amali Mahatma, and there are, a couple of more people who are members of our community in Connecticut, USA. So that's why I am here. I think that's why you invited me. So I'm really happy that I'm sharing some words with you and our gratitude to Mahamaya Girls College because the school created such wonderful people, not only people living in Connecticut, USA, but in North America. Because I know, especially people living, overseas, they are well, educated, they are intellectual, and they are serving the world with the abilities and good qualities that they have. So special thanks, go to the school that they educated themselves. So the credit goes to school for that, for producing, for creating, for making those kind of good people who serve the world with their knowledge and ability. So it is very nice that you conduct this kind of online lecture series that we call webinar. So we are going to talk about mindfulness today. So mindfulness, all the time. So practicing mindfulness, it is not only for the pandemic time, right? So we are facing COVID-19 at the moment. So people tend to talk about mindfulness, these days because they understand that it's very beneficial if you practice loving kindness to get rid of all the problems that you are going through. Mindfulness is very important, but as I just said, it is not, just for a time like this. Mindfulness you can cultivate all the time. So that's one of core teachings of Buddhism, and it is very famous in the Western world now, not only in the Eastern world, because of the approaches that the people living in Western world, they took some approaches with mindfulness. So that is very famous. And so mindfulness being famous, has, resulted in a good way. Like, many people are benefiting from practicing mindfulness. So we all know. So uncertainty is there, right? Especially during this pandemic time, you are not certain about many things, the finances, economic, and your employment, your relationship, as well as your physical and mental health. So there is uncertainty there. So because of uncertainty in the Western world, you call these things, depression, anxiety, stress. All those problems are there because we don't know how to face this uncertainty. So that is very, important that you know how to deal with uncertainty, because you are doubtful. Okay, you are, suspicious. You don't know what to do. Meanwhile, you try to predict, oh, this may happen, that may happen. Meantime, you try to assume, what if this happens? So there are so many what ifs. What if this? What if that? Okay, so that is the problem. Because of this uncertainty, so we are under stress, we are worrying, we are anxious. So mindfulness helps us to get rid of all those negativities. So that's the importance of, talking about mindfulness. So we should not, limit ourselves just to listen to this, right? So if you learn something on mindfulness, then it is, our kind of, we should try to, put whatever the bit we listen into practice. So if you do not practice, so this is not going to be beneficial for you. So whatever the bit listen to, or whatever the bit you hear, so you have to put it into practice. So I know there are so many people, so from different faiths, not only Buddhist, right? So there are people even from other faiths. So I understand that, but as a Buddhist monk, so I always have to, share things, that is taught in Buddhism. So I want to share wisdom in Buddhism. So I think you don't mind. So during my speech, I'm going to, quote from Buddhist teachings. I'm going to bring things up from the teachings of the Buddha. So what is mindfulness actually? So we know this, big word, mindfulness, and we have to have a clear idea about what mindfulness is. So generally, mindfulness is to connect with your authentic, life. Okay, you are dealing with so many things in your life. Okay, as a, student, you went to, school, then thereafter you went to college, then, you know you know came to, America or Canada, then you had to, do your higher education, then you dealt with so many things. But there's a problem. Okay, while doing all those things, after graduation you found a job, maybe some of you got married, so you have kids now, kids, you have to educate your kids. So many things are there that you have to deal with. But the problem is how much time you kind of allocate for yourself to connect with your authentic soul, your authentic life. So mindfulness is to connect with your authentic life. So that's generally. So if you want to put it in, Buddhist words, so mindfulness is remembering to observe, how mind's attention move from one thing to another. That sounds kind of deep, right? But we can figure it out what it really means. So generally, there are two categories in mindfulness: formal mindfulness and informal mindfulness. So what formal mindful is? So what does it mean? So formal mindfulness means you set time aside to practice mindfulness. Maybe you take 30 minutes a day to do mindfulness meditation. So whatever the meditation you are familiar with, maybe to watch your breath, to pervade loving kindness, to cultivate loving kindness, or to observe your body, how your body functions while sitting. So likewise, there are so many meditation objects. So you take a couple of minutes every day. So that is formal mindfulness. Informal mindfulness is you try to present to the moment. So you try to become present to the moment through whatever the activity you are doing. So all the time, other than the time you are sleeping, you are dealing with something all the time. So you are not free, okay, as a housewife. So sometimes, so you have to cook, you have to take care of your laundries, you have to clean your kitchen, you have to take care of your house, maybe taking care of kids if they are not going to a daycare center these days. Of course not, right? So there are so many things that you have to do. So in each and every activity you do, okay, it doesn't matter what activity that is, but in each and every activity you can really be mindful. So that is informal mindfulness. Okay, so you did not set a particular time to do that, but you try to be mindful, you try to become present to the moment, uh, all the time, through whatever the activity you are doing. That is informal mindfulness. So if I ask a question, so how many times you have to do, you have to cultivate mindfulness a day? How many times? So the answer would be 2 times. What is that? So it is when you are closing your eyes and when your eyes are open. So those are the 2 times that you have to cultivate mindfulness. So your whole life, you can, use your whole life to cultivate mindfulness. So if someone is living without mindfulness, when you are closing your eyes and when your eyes are open, so that is, those are the people who have so many negativities that they are talking about in their life, because that's the truth, that's the reality. Because we cannot, because we are not able to, because we are not capable of being mindful, so we have so many problems to talk about, we have so many complaints, because it is something you know that we cannot, that we forgot to do. It's because of that thing. So if you are trying to be mindfulness all the time, then like almost every problem goes away in your life. That's why this mindfulness is very important. So I recently watched a video clip on the internet. So there is a very famous psychologist, and he's a neuroscientist too, Richard Davidson. He's a professor at University of Wisconsin in medicine. So He gave a talk in TED Talks. People, renowned people from throughout the world. They invite those intellectual people, and they listen to their presentation. So Professor Richard Davidson, talk about mindfulness, how you can use mindfulness to reduce depression, anxiety in your life, how you can get the best use of this mindfulness. So that was a fascinating, it's a fabulous talk. Then I thought of sharing some of the facts he discussed in that in his presentation. So in San Francisco in 2019 October, as I remember, then he was invited to that TED talk. Then he said that he's a neuroscientist, so this is not my field. That's why I have to quote from him. This is not my inventions. Okay, this is not my research, but those are really going with Buddhist teachings. So that is what fascinated me. So he told that, so our brains are always changing. Okay, we know that. And our brains are shaped because of all the forces around us. So if we are not aware of the forces around us, it means if we are not mindful about the all forces. What are the forces? All the thoughts we have. So this is all about mind. So there are so many forces that influence our mind. Because of those forces, so our brains are shaped according to those forces. So sometimes he shares our brains are changed wittingly as well as unwittingly. Okay, so when our brains are changed unwittingly, it means without us knowing, we don't know at all what's going on. Okay, that's kind of a risk. That is kind of sounds dangerous, because we don't know there is something happening in our mind, and according to what happens, our brain gets shaped because of the influence of that force. Therefore we have to end up in things like stress, worry, restlessness. We are not relaxed at all, we are doubtful. So there are so many negative things that we end up with, because we cannot watch our mind, because we are not mindful. So our brains are shaped unwittingly. So we have to think about that. So he figured out 4 failures of well-being. Because of this unwittingly changed, there are 4 failures of our well-being. So the whole point of our life is to be happy, right? So if we fail to maintain that happiness, so we are not living a happy life. So that is something we have to talk about. So what are those 4 failures, 4 challenges? We see them as failures of our well-being. The first thing is distractibility. Okay, now you can turn to yourself. Okay, suppose you are trying to do something. Okay, maybe you are focusing on one of your papers, academic people. If you are a housewife, you are trying to cook something. You are trying to spend some time with your kid. You are trying to do your laundry. So how many distractions occur? Can you imagine? Okay, so have you ever focused on one particular work without any distraction? Okay, let me explain. Let me explain to you. Suppose you are cooking. Now you are chopping your vegetables. Your mind's nature is to wander around, roam about. It is very dynamic, it can go anywhere, anytime. It doesn't need your permission. It doesn't want your body to go with it. So it is very quick, goes everywhere. While you are chopping your vegetable, how many distractions you know may occur? You have no idea. Okay, so of course the work is going on. You're working on your cooking, but did you try to watch what your mind was doing while you were cooking? No, the activities are going on, but your mind is wandering all around the world because you are not kind of trained. You haven't trained your mind so that you wander in future and you wander in the past. Okay, they are not present at the moment. Think about that. Okay, you are lost in an imaginary world that is not present at the moment. That's what you are doing, most part in your life. Okay, you have this, valuable opportunity, which we call, present to the moment, this present moment. But you really miss it because you are lost in your imaginary worlds, related to your future or related to your past. So past is gone, right? But still you bring it back. Future has not yet come, but you still would like to guess things, or what if I do this in the future. Okay, I assume that this would happen if I do like that. So because of those hopes, expectations, okay, so which are not present. Think about that. You have to have goals. I'm not saying something like you have to get rid of all the targets, all the goals that you have. No, you have to have them, but you should not let yourself worry about the future that is not already here. You don't have to worry. I mean, you don't have to regret about the past. So how many times you regret about the past? I could have done more, right? I could have achieved more. I could have educated myself more with, when I compared to my friend, my relatives. I didn't do that. I didn't do a great job. So that's the problem. You are not satisfied. Past is gone. So bringing it back, doesn't help at all. But while you are doing something, you are lost in the past, or you are worrying about the future. So many distractions. Okay, we call them asavas in Buddhism. So Richard Davidson, he was talking about distraction. I was like, wow, enlightening. This is what Buddhism says, right? When you actually this, you can catch this when you try to meditate, right? Okay, forget about cooking, right? You may think that, okay, while cooking, what's the wrong with thinking about my future? Okay, that's no problem. But think about the moment you meditate. You try to watch your breath. Oh my goodness, you cannot keep, going. So many, complaints because you cannot focus on your breath. Just, one moment. So many distractions are there. Still, try to understand it is related to your past or future. Tell me if I am wrong. You are lost in those worlds because of your memory you brought from the past. It does not allow you to be present to the moment because of the worry, because of the doubt, because of the uncertainty you have about your future. It does not allow you to stay focused in the present moment. So distraction, it is going to shape your brain unwittingly. That's the problem. So the kind of danger in this is that it becomes a habitual behavior. Please remember this word forever. It's a habitual behavior because You are not trying to, be at the present moment at all, because you are used to something else, to think about past or future, worry about the future. So it is your habitual behavior. So once you have a habitual behavior like that, how you are going to get rid of the problem that it caused to your life? So this habitual behavior, so that's what going on in your brain because of this distractibility. So it is going to be not beneficial for you. So what Richard Davidson did was, he texted, because he selected kind of a couple of people, not a couple of people, actually thousands of people. So he texted them with three questions. What are you doing? That's the first question. What are you doing at the moment? Where is your mind at the moment? How happy and unhappy are you at the moment? So he did not say people that he was going to ask these three questions. Okay, it is a kind of random questions you get, but you sign up for that. Okay, you sign up for getting text from some stranger. Okay, but the questions you had never any idea about that question. So they could not. Then he came to a conclusion. He says that 47% of Americans, okay, now think about that. 47% of Americans, they are not happy because they have a wandering mind, because they don't know what they are doing at the moment. How dangerous. Maybe they got the text while they were, in the library, while they were commuting from home to their work, okay, while they were at home. But regardless of where they were, they like 47%. He's a person who, do a lot of research. Okay, so we really can believe what he says. It's like over many years he has done his research. So 47% of Americans, they don't know what they are doing. Because of the fact that they don't know what they are doing, they are an unhappy, because the definition is there. Wandering mind is unhappy life. That's the definition there. If you have a wandering mind, then you are unhappy. So what that wandering around, wandering about brings you, what it brings, actually the worry, the doubt, you know stress, depression, anxiety. Those are the things that it gives you. That's why you are unhappy. So all those happen because of this uncertainty. That's why I told you to think about the current moment. We are not certain about anything. We are not, certain about our employments, education, right? Physical health, mental health. There are so many, it's it has been more vulnerable to slings and arrows of the life, because we have good times and bad times. We have ups and downs in our life. We have peaks and valleys. So when it comes to bad times, downs and valleys of our lives, so we are more vulnerable because we are not mindfulness. But of course, sometimes there are people who are more resilient. Okay, they can deal with, they can quickly recover from those difficult times, because no secret, because they are mindful. That's why they can recover from those things very quickly. So we were talking about distractibility, so you cannot stay focused in your present moment. Second thing is loneliness. It is going to shape your brain in a way that is not beneficial for you. So loneliness means that you don't have friends, you don't have anyone around for company, so you are isolated. So why that happens? It is because you cannot say, no one can say I am lonely, I feel lonely. if you are mindful, so you cannot ever say I'm not lonely, because you have something to take care of. You have something to think about. You have something to focus on. Okay, so you never say I am. It's kind of a weakness if you say, I feel lonely. That's your weakness, because you do not get the best use of your time. You let yourself to worry. You let yourself to regret. So that's not a good thing. So loneliness, that's also, so he gives us four healthy pillars. So instead of having those negativities, he talks about the positive side too. So let's, since we have limited time, let's go to the third factor. So it is going to be negative talk about yourself and depression. How many negative thoughts you have about yourself? That is that because you are not satisfied. That's the only thing. Okay, you are in a rush to achieve something. Of course, you have to work around the clock as a person who live in the West. If you are not work around the clock, yeah, so something bad gonna happen to you. That's of course true, but it does not mean that you cannot satisfy you know about yourself. Okay, you always have to satisfy, right? So you have to congratulate yourself. You have to congratulate those who are living with you. You have to appreciate what you have achieved. If you are not satisfied with what you achieved, so you are always going to put yourself down. You are always going to underestimate yourself. Then the depression is on the rise. If you do that, you said, I'm depressed, oh my goodness, why couldn't I achieve that? Why I was wasn't able to do that? I really miss it. You have so many things around you that you can congratulate yourself. Oh, I did these things. But other than thinking about congratulating yourself, thinking about appreciating your work that you have done so far, you are still not satisfied. You are still talk negatively about yourself. So the result is negative talk. If you have negative talk, then the depression, anxiety, that's the thing. And the fourth one is loss of purpose and meaning in life. That's the thing. He did a lot of research on that as well, and he claimed that people who are in their 60s, so it is not about young people, because it is very hard to do research about all age groups, right? So he, I think, selected people who retired. So people who are in their 60s, and those who don't have a sense of purpose and meaning because they worked hard. Okay, they retired, now they think they don't have a purpose in life. Such a shame, right? Their retirement doesn't mean that they don't have anything else to do furthermore. No. Then he found that, so those people who are in 60s, who have less sense in purpose and meaning in their life, had more than twice the likelihood of dying within 5 years compared to people who reported high sense of meaning of life. See, now they are 60, they are going to die when they are 65. So twice, the likelihood is twice. So even before they become maybe 62. They are going to die because why? They don't have a purpose. They are the people who worked hard, professors, lawyers, engineers, doctors, teachers. They worked hard. Now they think, unfortunately, because of lack of mindfulness, now they don't have a purpose. So for all of us now facing this pandemic, we are like retired people now. Now, do you feel like, you don't have purpose in your life? Okay, then get ready to die within 5 years. So you still have a purpose. So let's talk about the positive things. So we have the distractibility first, then the loneliness, then negative talk and depression. The fourth thing is you don't have a meaning and purpose in your life. So as good pillars of health, so in order to gain a good physical and mental health, then Richard Davidson says the first pillar is awareness, which is mindfulness in Buddhism. So awareness. So you have to be aware about everything that is happening around your life. So I gave you a definition for mindfulness at the beginning in Buddhist kind of terminology, right? Mindfulness is remembering to, observe how mind's attention moves from one thing to another. When you do that, if you are a person who try to watch your mind all the time, okay, it is not a burden actually. You may think that I have shipload of things to do. How can I do that? How can I watch my mind? No, you have to watch your mind in whatever the thing you are doing at the moment. So you have the awareness. So when you have awareness, then you are not ended up being depressed, stressed, worried, anxious, or anything bad. So awareness is the first thing. And you should have connection. What is connection? So you had the loneliness as a negativity. Now you have to have the connection. So connection with those who live around. If you are a mother, you have to connect to your kids, your husband, so people who work with you, okay, your relatives. What's the method? With what means you are going to connect to them? Not to make telephone calls all the time, even bothering them. Okay, not to run into their lives all the time, right? Okay, not to be nosy about your neighborhood. Not that. You have to connect to them with compassion, loving kindness. So all the four Brahma Viharas, so what you called the four abodes of the Brahmas. Okay, so people who are in high realm, they are endowed with metta, loving kindness, karuna, compassion, mudita, sympathetic joy, and upekka, equanimity. So what is loving kindness? So you wish them to be happy all the time. You don't have any ill will towards anyone. You have compassion. You are compassionate. When they are in trouble, you try to help. When you try to even talk to them and appease. And you have sympathetic joy. That's also a problem. Okay, when you look at your friends, or maybe family members, your siblings, maybe your neighborhood, or maybe your one of your colleague, if you cannot rejoice in their growth, in their improvements, in their happiness, that's the problem as well. Mudita is rejoicing in others, maybe wealth is not money all the time. Wealth can be defined many ways, like they are wealth, they are rich in good qualities, achievements, of course, money, property. So you have to rejoice in others' wealth. and equanimity. You don't have to be biased. You are not someone who is always biased, okay, taking sides. No, you're not doing that. So that's the way you can connect to other people. If you try to cultivate those good qualities, that helps you to be mindful, because you are not a person who is restless. You are not a person who are not relaxed. You are not a person who is anxious, because you are cultivating good things. So the fact that you are cultivating those good qualities really helps you to be mindful, because people, those who are only mindful, are practicing those good qualities. So that helps. So that is the answer for your loneliness. So during this pandemic time, so try to be, compassionate. Try to, radiate loving kindness. Try to appreciate who, are around you. Try to congratulate. Try to let them congratulate you. That's also sometimes, you can't even let them congratulate you. Oh, I don't mind. I don't care. I don't need your appreciation. Right? So you are so, I don't know, proud about something. So you can just let them to reach out to you. So that's the way that you can deal with, difficult times like this. And the third thing is insight into what? Into those stories that you have about yourself. I said in the first section, so you have negative talks and depression, right? So you have, you underestimate yourself. So you have your own story. Oh, I'm, such a person. I can't achieve anything. All the time, I am worried. I'm a person who never achieved my goals. So you have those narratives, those, stories. So insight into those narratives. So you have to try to see there is no truthfulness in, what you claim about. Okay, so there is no truthfulness there. You can always change things. You have to be a person who can appreciate yourself all the time. So you have to have that insight. If you do not have that insight, so you are a person who is always depressed. You are a person who is always stressed. That's not a good thing. And the fourth thing is, so you have to have a purpose in your life. So what's the purpose now? If you are a retired person, okay, so you have done your job. Now you are retired. Hmm? So can you try to visualize a life? Okay, so if you suppose that you have to deal with all the things, even though you are a retired person, so you still have to deal with your life. You have to take your trash out. You have to do your laundries. You have to cook, right? You have to clean your room. So that maybe someone may think this is hilarious. So is that the purpose of my life, taking my trash out? So you have to try to think that it is also, as a person who live, that is also a part of my life. That's the purpose. I can be mindful, in whatever thing I do. That's the purposeful life. Not, those big goals, not only those, big expectations. If you don't have any goal or expectation, hope, you don't have to think that I am a, purposeless person. No, you are still living. You are still moving. Your mind is still, can watch whatever the, bodily activities that you do, whatever the verbal activities you do, whatever the mental activities you do. So you can watch those three doors: speech, mind, and body. That's the purposeful life. And you have to understand another thing, because we are now living with uncertainty. So that uncertainty is something outside our control. That is something that is outside our control. We don't have any control over something. So we have to, this is a good lesson for yourself. We have to endure things. We have to tolerate things that we cannot change, that we don't have control over. Okay? So if you always want something to be the way you want it to be, you are stressed. If you always want to make something different than it is, that has nothing to do with the reality, because it behaves the way that it wants. You cannot change other people. You cannot change the things happening around the world. You sometimes have to be tolerant with things that is going around yourself. If you try to interfere, if you try to confront, then only problems arise. So I think we can do, like 3 to 2 minutes meditation as well, because we, talk about cultivating mindfulness. So I wanted to talk more, but time flies. So I have to stop here. But when you ask questions, maybe I can talk more about the fact that I wanted to talk about. So let's just cultivate mindfulness for a couple of minutes. Okay, then you can have a sense of how to watch our mind, how to be mindfulness in something. Okay, so there are so many things that we can be mindful about, but now for a couple of minutes we are going to watch our breath. So you can sit as erect as possible. You can gently close your eyes. You can maintain half a smile in your face just to relax your muscles in the face. So now we are going to watch our breath, how it happens. So this is something we talk about in the talk. We are going to observe how my mind's attention move from one thing to another. I am watching my breath. So while I am watching my breath, how my mind goes away to other objects. So if you are watching that, if you see that happening, then you are mindful, other than you are just breathing in and breathing out without you knowing. So we try to develop our mindfulness with something that is already happening in my body. So my breathing process is going to be helpful for me to establish mindfulness in me. When you breathe in, you are going to watch how it happens. When you breathe out, you are going to watch how it happens. So let the body breathe in and breathe out as it wants. You are not going to do that forcefully. You are going to watch something that is naturally there. So focus on your natural breath. When breathing in and breathing out, try to watch the sensation, the touch of breath in your nostrils first. You may feel that some breaths are long, some breaths are short. So now we are going to focus on your breath depending on the length of it. So your mind can move to that object. Now your mind is going to see the length of your breath. While breathing, it's mind's nature to go away. As we discussed, it goes far away. But don't worry about that. We are in harmony with the changing patterns of the mind. We are not upset about the fact that mind going away. We have to accept that because that's the nature of our mind. So gently invite mind back to your breath. You are not going to worry or bother saying that, oh, I cannot focus on my breath because my mind always goes away. The more you train your mind like this, the less distraction you get in your life. So it happens over period of time. It cannot be experienced within 2-3 days. So you try to watch your mind so it goes everywhere, but we can still stay focused on something we are doing, like we did on our breath. So many things you are doing in your day-to-day life, so you are trying to avoid your mind from going away. That's what you are trying to do. So when you practice this over time, so the amount of distractions going to be less and less, and you are going to be established in mindfulness very well. When you establish mindfulness in you, so you are not going to be stressed, depressed, anxious, worried. So all those problems are going to go away because you have a mind where you have established mindfulness. Okay, now I think I can give you opportunity to ask any question. So I'm free to, go forward until, 15 or 20 minutes. But if you really want to stop at 8, so that's no problem. So let's see how it goes. So thank you very much. So that's all about my talk. So now it's time for question and answer.
Do we have any questions for Hamudru?
Everyone is actually muted. So if you want to talk, please make sure that you unmute yourself.
Hamdulne, I kind of have an idea, but I would like to ask you. You said that when you're doing taking your breaths, like being mindful means sometimes we worry that, oh, our mind, sometimes all of a sudden we keep breathing, but then all of a sudden we realize that, oh, we were thinking about something else, not about our breath. So, and then I think you said that that is being mindful, that realizing that your mind flew away and then you taking your mind back to your breathing, that is being mindful.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. So I can answer that question, in Buddhist perspectives, because we have two kind of meditations called tranquility meditation and one-pointed meditation. So if you do one-pointed meditation, so we encourage you to focus on your breath all the time. So you sit to watch your breath, and during the session, you are only focusing on your breath, and you are getting up, thinking about your breath. So it's all about your breath. So we kind of encourage you to like resist your mind going from your meditation object to another place. Okay, that's one kind of meditation that many teachers you know teach to their students. But the other thing is tranquility meditation. While you are focusing on your breath, you actually can, you know, have kind of sense about what's happening around you. Okay, then you have freedom. If you feel something, painful, then you can go there and see how it happens. But you have to make sure that you are not lost in imaginary worlds that is not there at the moment. That's the thing. If something is there exactly at the moment, then there's no problem if you are mindful about that, right? You have pain in your leg, so that is there for real, then you think about that. That's fine. Okay, but something like something happened in the past, like someone, you know you got some unwelcoming words from someone, you remember it while meditations, that is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, likewise there are things that do not exist but in our imaginary worlds, so you really don't want to think about those things. Those are the distractions we talk about. But if something really going on at the moment, like physical pains, like smells, you hearing sounds, you can take a break and let your mind go wander around that thing and realize what is going on there. And you can gently invite your mind back to your meditation subject. So that is tranquility meditation. So you aware about everything that is happening around you. But one point absorption meditation, so you really try hard to stay in, stay focused on one particular thing. I think that helps. I don't know.
Actually, I think we have a, okay, sorry. Bihar wrote a question in the chat box.
Hashiniaki, Seth, my son, has a question for Swami Nuhanse.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. You can go ahead. Yeah.
So, okay.
Do you want to ask?
My question is, if your mind wanders, how do you bring it back to the work? Like when you get distracted, when like you think of something else, when you're trying to focus on a job.
Okay. Suppose that you are trying to, do your homework.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then when you try to do that, so distraction means that, something, bothers your focus, right? You are focusing on your book or your, reading. So
Yeah.
whatever you are doing now, but something from the past or something from the future. So you can relate to that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Maybe from some, something from future, because you imagine things, right? Because you have ambitions, you
Yeah.
have purposes in your life. So you have to understand that is not a good time to think about that, because you have to take care of what is right in front of you. If
Uh,
you miss that opportunity, so you never get it back, right? Time. You know?
Yeah. It's
Awesome.
right.
Okay, so please try to take care of what is in front of you other than, letting your mind wandering around. Does that
Yeah.
help?
Huh?
Does that help?
Yeah, that does help.
Okay, great.
Yeah, because thank you, Balu. That is a really helpful way to bring my mind back when I get distracted by something.
Great, great. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Arshi
In the
Akka,
chat box, right?
Arshi Akka, I see one of you have raised a question. I don't know if Hamidro can see it on
Oh,
chat.
yes, now I can see that. Let me.
Vihara, two questions we have.
Oh, okay. In this fact-based world we live in, especially in North America, being good at multitasking is considered a skill to succeed in careers, life in general. Is it mindfulness that helps some individuals be more skilled at multitasking? Actually, yes. Okay, that's what we talk about in tranquility meditation. Okay, there is nothing that discourage you to be multitasking. Okay, you can do many things at once, but you have to realize something as well when you try to do so many things, because understanding your capacity is also mindfulness. Okay, so maybe you put so many things in your plate that you cannot finish. Okay, so that's not going to be helpful. You still try to be multitasking person, but at the end of the day you are not satisfied with what you did. So you have to be mindful about the capacity as well. This is what I can do. Maybe when you achieve that, then the next time, so you can do more. Okay, there is nothing wrong with try to be multitask person, but still you have to be mindful whether you can actually bear that, you can support that. That's also mindfulness. So we say in mindfulness meditation, to understand that your mind goes away, that's also mindfulness, because some people even do not know that, right? Maybe that relate to Amali Mahatma's question, right? Because sometimes you do not understand that, because you do not see, then you cannot be successful. Okay, of course you can do many things at once, but mindfully. So mindfulness does not discourage you to be doing many things at once. It's making it better, of course. Yeah.
Samitha Swamin Vahanse Avasarai. I have to ask you one question. Can you please explain to the audience how critical Samma Sati in the Arya Ashtangika Marga in this process of mindfulness and meditation?
Okay. So mindfulness. So you have 37 enlightening factors in Buddhism. So in Buddhist perspectives, I think you expect something like Buddhist, right? For the answer?
Yes, yes. Swamin Vahanse.
Of course, that's helpful for everyone. So you have that 37 enlightening factors. So mindfulness is, sati is in Chatu Satipatthana, so 4 applications of mindfulness, right? So sati is there as a factor that underlines everywhere. Okay, without mindfulness, you cannot do anything, even for Samma Ditti, right? So that is the beginning of Arya Ashtangika Marga. That is the beginning of the 8 noble path. So in order to see something clearly, you have to have wise attention. Okay, so that is in Sabbasava Sutta. So Buddha says that to see something clearly, to have a penetrative knowledge, so you have to have wise attention. So you have to, do away with unwise attention. What is wise attention and unwise attention? So if you have unwise attention, then you attend to things that are not fit for attention. If you do not have sati, you try to deal with things that are not fit for attention. Okay, but when you have sati, you never try to attend to things that are not fit for attention. And another thing, when you are mindful, you understand that there are things in the world that should attend to, like your meditation object, right? So if you do not have sati, you cannot make the demarcation between things that are unfit for attention and things that are fit for attention. When you are mindful, you really, distinguish between, okay, this is what I should, keep my mind on, and this is what I should avoid my mind, free, being, spending time. Okay, so wise attention really goes with sati. Then in the case of Eight Noble Path, that is vital. So for every link in that path, sati is very important. Without sati, you cannot go ahead, because even to see things, you have to be mindful. So that is how vital mindfulness is, in terms of Arya Ashtangika Marga. So think about wise attention and unwise attention. So that will be, helpful.
And may I ask you a follow-up question on that?
Yeah.
Buddha very clearly has laid this specifically in one sutta, in Sigalova the sutta,
Yeah.
or Laukika people like us. He has very clearly laid out this path, some of which you addressed today in your Dhamma talk. Can you expand on that a little bit? I know that you have no time to explain the entire Sigalova the sutta,
Yeah.
but please.
Okay, because so I'm gonna answer that question, shortly, because that's a, very, big sutta. You have to talk about, many duties and responsibilities if you want to talk about the life depicted for a layperson in Singalavada Sutta. The thing is that you are not an isolated person. Of course, as far as the samsaric existence and liberation are concerned, you are having an individual journey, of course. Okay, you are the one who is responsible for ending your suffering. You are the one who is responsible for like cultivating, wholesome deeds. Okay, but still, it is not kind of, people try to call it is selfish. Look at Buddhist monks. They, go to forests and meditate for themselves, but they never interact with people. Okay, monks who are living in, towny areas, only those people do that, activism or something, right? But there are monks who try to, enlighten themselves being isolated. But of course, even for that monk, he has to come back to the village to find his aunt's food. So this social, kind of relationship. So you are not, of course, you are an individual person, but in some ways you are not isolated. So you have to have a good society. That's why, for the sake of society, so there are 6 directions. You have to put your parents, in the eastern side. You have to put your, spouse in the western side. You have to put your teacher in the south. So you have to put your friends on the north side. And the recluses upside and your servants, like, people work under you downside, underneath, and you have your responsibilities and duties that you should, perform towards them. So when you perform those duties very well, then only you have a society that is friendly for you to live in. If you are not a friendly person for the society, then you will, encounter a lot of problems. So that is the purpose of Singalowada Sutta. Yes, lay people, can achieve Nibbana as well. Everyone does not have to be necessarily monks in order to attain Nibbana. For the benefits of lay people, Singalowada Sutta is there how to build a strong society around you by performing your duties and responsibilities. If you do not do that, then you are in trouble. That's why Buddha said, please perform those things. Then whatever you grow, you are going to harvest. Yeah.
I think Ramindu has a question.
I have a question, and so here's my question. So should I incorporate mindfulness meditation into my daily life, or should I just say it when I'm saying Gatha?
Okay. So if you were with us from the beginning, you may remember I said, so we can practice mindfulness 2 times a day, right? When your eyes are closed and when your eyes are open. So Ravindu, there is no limitation for mindfulness, even when you recite Gatha, so you can focus on your words, okay? That is also being mindful. So you are with your recital other than letting your mind wander around, okay? So you are, you become present to the moment while you are doing that. But even when you do other things in your life, then you can really be mindful. So watch what you are doing. That's it. So you don't watch what you are doing, right? So when you eat, you can think about whether I am eating mindfully. Maybe something going on in your mind, but you are still, you still keep eating. That's not a mindful eating. You have to kind of, feel the sensation of smell. You have to feel the sensation of the taste. Okay, that's what mindful eating, right? So that's one example. While eating, while studying, you are studying. While eating, you are eating. Okay, while worshiping, you are worshiping. While walking on the street from school to house, you are walking. Okay, so every time, so every minute, so you cannot separate your life from mindfulness. It is, always, there is always something there that we can be mindful about. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, if time permits. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So, Hamdrune, when you were talking about 4 pillars, for example, you told that purpose and then insight. And when I was thinking for myself, you were telling that purpose should not necessarily need to be a goal. You can be aware of what you are doing. And insight, as in the sense like thinking about yourself, evaluating yourself. So in the big picture, does everything boils down to mindfulness at the end? That's how I feel. Maybe it's just how I understood.
Yeah. So those things, all the 4 pillars, those are the things that we try to do with mindfulness, right? So if you are not mindful, so you cannot be insight. You cannot, bring insight to your stories, as I said, right? If you are not mindful, so you cannot understand that even taking, trash out, even taking care of your laundry, it is part of your life. That's also your purpose of your life, because life means you are living your life, right? So it does not matter, it is a life with, filled with goals or ambitions. No, Okay, you are living, then you live whatever the life you live with mindfulness. Okay, so you are kind of reminding yourself. So in order to remind yourself, you need mindfulness. So all the four pillars. Okay, so you are right, because it is something that we try to do with mindfulness. That is why we need mindfulness. Otherwise, we only have those four things we talk about, distractibility, loneliness, and, loss, purpose, and meaningfulness of life. So those happens, those negativities are there because we are not mindful. But these positivities, those pillars of healthy mind, we can, kind of improve them. We can, cultivate them only if you are mindful. So that is why you have to kind of, embrace mindfulness to your life.
So, as the first pillar, you said it's the awareness.
Awareness, yeah.
So, what is the difference between the mindfulness and awareness?
That's a great question. So Buddhism, there are two words, sati, sampajanya. Sati is mindfulness. It means that you become present to the moment. Okay, you are not away. You are always in the present moment. But awareness is you try to, kind of, how to say, awareness is to know something that you are doing. Okay, suppose you are breathing, your mindfulness is there. Because you establish mindfulness, then you can watch how it happens. That's the awareness. It does not happen without you knowing, it happens with you knowing. So awareness is that. So you watch, each bit of your mind's function. Without, inviting mindfulness, you cannot be aware. So in order for awareness to stand there, mindfulness is needed. So sati, sampajanya, those are the two words.
Oh, sorry, Sonali, you have.
No, I was thanking.
I'm sorry to jump in. It is 8:20. I know we went a little over, but this is really interesting and very insightful. Hamduna, there's one more question in the chat box, and I see that little son's hand is up too. So, do you want to go ahead, Puta?
Set you are up.
When you're stressed, what should you do? When life is getting hard.
Can you like paraphrase the question again?
When you're stressed, what should you do?
When you're stressed, what should you do? Like,
Okay, that is a question I expect from adults.
or he's stressed. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, this is the thing. So I think I missed that part, to explain in my talk. So when you are stressed, okay, so if you always think about that stress, okay, that's not going to help. Okay, so stress is there. What you are going to do? You are going to think about that stress again and again. I am stressed. Okay, go away, because let me live alone, because I'm stressed. I am depressed. Okay, so you always try to think about that, and you always try to live that. When you try to live that, when you try to think of that all the time, when you try to ponder on that all the time, what happens? It gets bigger and bigger. It gets more intense. Okay, the more you spend time on that, the more it gets intense. So that's the thing. So if you are stressed, what you have to do? You really have to let that stress be there. Can you change that? You cannot change that stress. Okay, that stress there, you are not going to like worry about that stress. You let it be there. Okay, you give space for that stress to be there. Okay, you are not going to deal with that. Okay, you are just ignoring. But again, you are trying to do your work. That stress is there. Maybe that's a kind of, difficult thing for a kid, but, for now you have to forget about the stress and try to take care of the other things you have. Because if you spend time on that, it is going to get and bigger and more intense. Okay, if you just ignore that, then you can come back and start whatever the work you want to do.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question. So this is about, when you are meditating or when you are doing something else, our mind always wander, right? So when it wander, it always goes to either past or the future, as you said. So I mean, past we can understand because it has happened and every bit of details we can remember or something like that. But sometimes when it wanders to future, it also happens in details. I don't know, for some, like, although the event has not yet taken place, still you get, like, it goes on and on, like, in detail. I always wonder how it happens, because it is not even has happened yet, but you have the ability to, make it a long or like a full event, although it has not happened. So is
Yeah.
it part of the planning or?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question as well. So you can plan things, okay? You have to have goals, but do not yet let yourself worry because of that plan. Do not let worry yourself because of that goal. Of course, you have to have a timetable. Of course, you have to have a plan, as you are living. But the thing is, you are mindful, okay? You are working on a plan, but you understand that that plan, you know, can go as planned, but it can be a different way as well. When you cannot accept that difference, then you are depressed, then you are worried, right? So now you think, so it is good to wait until it comes, because now well ahead of time we plan something. So all the thing that we get from that plan is doubt, worry, or whether we, I'm wondering whether it goes well. I'm wondering that whether it happens the way I want. Okay, that restlessness, doubt. You're kind of suspicious. Okay, that may go wrong. Okay, so that's going to bother you. So that's why you have to be very mindful. Whatever the outcomes before that event take place, okay, whatever the outcome as thoughts you get, you are not kind of ignoring that thought, but do not let those thoughts control you. I think that's the best way to deal with that. Yeah.
I think there's one last question, I believe, in the chat box that we didn't get to, Amali. Harshiyaka?
Yes, yes. Hamdruni, can you see it or should I read it?
Mindful, how many times a week a person has to practice meditation? What type of meditation would you recommend? Maitri Bhavana or Anapanasati. Thank you very much for your time, Hamduni. Okay, so in that, I can bring something from Richard Davidson's research, right? So he asked, team group of people to meditate 7 hours. Okay, it happened over time, like 30 minutes a day. Okay, so after that 7 hours meditation, then they had an MRI test. Then they found that the shape of their brain, that is something, I don't know those words, I'm just trying to give you an idea. So they really found that something changed in their brain. other than, people who, other than the other group they tested who did not do meditate. Okay, so even that, 7 hours could change your brain. Okay, maybe the way you think, the way you deal with distractions, the way you accept challenges. So those are the abilities that you develop when you meditate. So I recommend you can meditate, as much as you want. I don't want to say 30 minutes, 1 hour. So if you try to meditate, all the time, like I said, try to be mindful with all the activities you do. So that's also meditation. It's not a formal meditation, but informally, even though informally, you can meditate. So even a minute that can change a lot in your life. So, and when you kind of enjoy your meditation, so you will expand your time as well. So try to start very little, then you will decide how much you should meditate a day.
Hamdun, it also asks Maitri Bhavana or Anapanasati Bhavana. Do you?
Yes, that is, yeah, anything, right? You can do anything. You can do, or you can focus on your breath. The thing is, you are, training your mind with whatever the meditation's object. You are training your mind. That is what you have to do. Okay, take whatever the meditation subject you want. Meditation object, maybe breath, loving kindness, recollection of the Buddha, Buddhaguna Bhavana, anything. Okay? The thing is, you are training your mind. So that is what most important in this case.
Thank you, Hamdurane. So it is 8:29 now. I wish we could go ahead and keep on discussing because it is really very insightful. Thank you, Hamdurane. Maybe with your permission, can we share your email and with the crowd if anybody asks for it, if that is okay, for any questions if they have? Okay. So we have come to the end of our session and I would like to invite Samanthi to do the vote of thanks. Samanthi?
Yaki, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm Samanthi Aviradna, the Vice President of Makana for this year. And we, as you all can agree, we had a really good first program. So on behalf of Makana Board of Directors and the Executive Committee, I would like to extend our grateful appreciation to Venerable Nedagamuwe Samitha for accepting our invitation to the first program and conducting a very thorough topic on mindfulness. And once again, thank you, Samitha for your contributions towards this. Also, a big thank you to the Makana Steering Committee for initiating the thought for this program and providing the oversight and the leadership to take this forward. And of course, Hashini Mohotala, thank you for coordinating the logistics with the virtual event. And we appreciate your support as always. And finally, to all of you who joined us today, thank you very much for joining our session. And please look forward to our continued sessions on a monthly basis. We would like to hear feedback from you as well for any improvement, changes that you can think are necessary to keep this program moving forward. And thank you again and have a good night.
Thank you, Samanthi, and thank you, Hamdurane, and thank you everybody who joined today. Have a good night.
Thank you, Hamudru.
Tiruvan Saranai.
Saranai. No, I'm just gonna wait until 11.
You want to wait until everyone goes away, Seth?
I think he does. Yeah. So thank you for your question. I think that looked like something came from me. What do you do when you're stressed?
Yeah. I know. It was. I didn't know. I thought it was just for girls only. I actually wish I was a girl, but yeah.
That's okay. Boys are welcome too.
It's an open session.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, say hi to Ravindu. That's Ravindu, right?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, so all girls, boys,
Right.
Oh, there.
There.
Hi, Ramindu.
Hello.
I said,
Do you know him?
I know him, but I don't know whether he knows me. Hi, Ravindu. I'm Pinoka. I'm one of your mom's friends.
good to know, right?
Yeah.
How do you, I mean, players, we have to, thank you.
That's a very good participation.
Yeah.
38 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
See you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Oh,
Bye.
oh, she left. I wanted to ask if he was going to sing, if he will be singing for the fundraiser too. I think she said he would.
Who?
Inoka's son. I didn't catch his name.
Now I want to unmute. I don't think Mrs. Vedake can hear us. Mrs. Vedake, unmute කරන්න. Mute වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. Yeah. හරි. දැන් ඇහෙනවා. තාමත් ඇහෙන්නේ නැහනේ. ඇහෙනවද? අපිට ඇහෙන්නේ නැහැ. Why is that?
I do not know.
I think something happened to my microphone, right? Okay, I think I just have to
Stop recording.
yeah.